Hey guys, and welcome to Riggs Garage. Today I'm digging in on my daily dumpster project. This is my 1993 EG Civic hatchback. Now it's got some really questionable suspension and steering going on right now. The tie rods are clicking and extremely loose. I'll post a video right here of the loose steering. $20 China lowering springs on it now, and completely worn out all stock suspension. So it's time to make this thing really good. I've got Prothane bushings for it. I'll run you through all the parts that we're gonna put on this car right now. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. There's gonna be a lot more EG Civic content coming soon. Thank you. All right, I've got a huge pile of parts here that I have been gathering over the last couple of years as I just daily drive this car. I've been enjoying it. Have a look at a couple other videos I made. They were just random. They weren't really project themed, but I did a Mini-Me swap. I'll post the link above. And I also wired that Mini-Me setup with a P28 computer. So this is now a VTEC engine, so it has a little bit more rip to it. Today we're gonna be putting Yonaka, it's upside down, sorry. Yonaka full coilover setup. I'll open that here in a second. I've got Skunk 2 adjustable upper control arms. They're kind of dirty, but they are brand new. I've got Prothane bushings for the upper control arm and for the lower control arms. And then I spent a little bit extra money and got quality Moog components. I've got ball joints, lower ball joints. The uppers are on the Skunk. And then I have Moog inner tie rods and Moog outer tie rods. So I'm using quality parts here. I plan on keeping this car for a very long time. When we get to the rear suspension, I do have True Heart upper adjustable control arms. And then I have Prothane bushings for the lower control arms. So yeah, let's look into the Yonaka. I bought these like 2 years ago on a 420 sale for $420. Not sure what that 420 is all about. And I've never opened them. They've been sitting in my basement, sadly, awaiting me to do things. Well, this is like Christmas. These things look really nice. Looks like I'll need to take a measurement and make sure they're the same. These are the fronts. I'm going to start with the front. They're also very generous with their swag package in here. This is crazy. I think I got a shirt that's going to fit. I got a sticker that's white, sticker that's black. We got fresh lock nuts for the top of these. Even got a license plate frame and a new hat. I think I might actually wear it. Yeah, check these out. So we have a fixed spring rate, factory preset, I believe. So to adjust the ride height, you'll just loosen this lock nut and spin it this way. And that will lower it or raise the car up. I'm actually really excited to make this Civic nice. There are some SCCA races coming up. I don't know if I'll race it this year, but definitely in the spring I would like to get this on a track with some good tires. So we're going to do the suspension now. Really excited about it. It's going to have full good suspension underneath it, and then I've hinted at this before, but I do have a complete turbo kit. I've got another D15B7 block that I'm going to put Vitara pistons and hopefully no notch rods, P2P. So let's get rolling. Oh my gosh. Do you hear that? So I'm grabbing the wheel, both sides here. Do you hear that clicking? You can actually see it back there. You see the tie rod there? There's a lot of movement to it. And you can see some serious wear on the inside of this tire. No bueno. We're going to replace this upper. We're going to take out the old strut, spring assembly. We're going to remove the lower control arm, put new bushings in that. We're going to put a new ball joint on the lower here. Undo these brake line holders. I just pushed the dust boot back on the tie rod. Let's have a closer look here. we go. Sweet. Squeaker is on the back. You're just tearing this thing apart in almost logical order. Little BFH on the side. Always hit the threads. Always hit the threads if you can. I kid, I kid. This is being replaced, remember. All right, we're free. It's great. Let's pull this axle out real quick. Let's pop the axle out. There's a little bit of oil coming out, so I put a pan right there. There's a little bit of oil coming out of the transmission, so I popped the axle and now I'm gonna pull it out. Struts. An axle free, and strut assembly is free. I'm going to remove this knuckle assembly. Upper control arm, zip it here, zip it there. Always drop the nut into the engine bay. Did I get lucky? Yes. So I'm going to grab it on the bottom and then zip the top off. And put my leg here maybe. All right, got that out. All right, to get the inner tie rod off, the shaft that is attached to the steering rack has a flat spot on 180 degrees across from each other, and a 7/8 wrench fits on there to brace it so it doesn't spin. And then I'm using an adjustable wrench on this, adjusted to somewhere around the proper size. Then I'll just grab this one and torque. That's hard. All right. Did I get it? Almost. There we go. Good. There we are. All right, now I'm going to remove the upper control arm. Stop. I'm filming. New bushings in. Alright, so here's what I do if I don't have a hydraulic press, which I don't. What I'm going to do is put the lower control arm in a huge vise here, and I've got a hole saw. This is 1 1/8", so we've got these 2 bushings, one here, one here. I'm going to go ahead and take really angry heavy-duty drill with that 1 1/8" hole saw. It fits over the metal portion in the middle, you can see, and what I'm going to do is hog this out from each side. First I'm going to plug it in though. This is not for like a cheap little drill, this is serious. Go back over here. Good poison fumes here. So now we're left with just the metal collar that was pressed in here, and obviously I don't have a press, so what I'm going to do is grab my jigsaw with a metal bit, and I'm just going to zip through the collar only and not into the cast metal. probably going to shoot towards thicker metal if I can. Well, I started zipping this with a jigsaw, but I'm going to use my Sawzall here. Cool. That's how I'm going to remove all the bushings. Get out. So what I'm going to do now is put this back poly bushing on. I wanted to orient this so you could kind of see how it goes. Looking at the other side of the car, just to verify, this side here has a slight more distance. I measured it with the caliper. A little more distance on this side than this shorter side. And you can see which way it should be shoved in. The bracket, it should go this way, since this is a more slight slope here. So that is what I'm going to do. Put some grease, some marine grease on here, and push it in. Well, I started reading instructions after questions started arising. So a lower control arm bushing kit from Prothane includes this big bushing and then this one here. The instructions clearly say, do not remove lower shock bushing. That's not included in the kit, but you saw me remove it. So I just ordered a lower shock bushing kit from Prothane as well. I have to wait a few days for that, but I can still do everything else, so I'm going to get back to it. I did press this one in. All I did is just stuck it in a vise and just popped each side in. And then I will lube this up and slide that in, and then this arm will be done. And here's a little trick I learned on the YouTubes. Basically, to prevent squeaking, and this guy said he's been doing this for a long time. He's 5 years in without squeaks on his current installation, but you wrap a little bit of Teflon tape, like one layer, not much, because this is tight clearances, and then you use marine grease over the Teflon tape. So I'm going to do that, and I hope it works. Nobody wants a squeaky Honda Civic. Okay, push it most of the way in. Let's see if we can get it the rest of the way. Hey. Alright, that's installed. Now I'm going to start working on this spindle here. I'm going to take this old lower ball joint off. I hit the plastic end of my BFH so I don't dent this rotor since I'm reusing it. A little bit of wrist action here with this 2-pound. Alright, now I'm going to install this with the press. Lines up a lot better so far. Well, I'm not going to film the other side. I don't need wet cameras, and it's the same thing as this side. So, got my $50 Orchland Farm and Home canopy here. But it's really coming down. I'll get wet one way or the other, so I might give it a minute. Woo! Alright, it's Sunday, just got back from church. Ball joints are all pushed in. Bushings are all pushed into the lower control arms. And I just figured out that these skunk upper control arms both have an L on them. That's bad because, for example, if you look up upper control arms for a Civic, there's definitely a left and a right. And the ones that I took off have an R and an L on them. So I have one usable Skunk 2 control arm. So that's frustrating. But what I'm doing is there are a ton of these copies of Skunk 2 on eBay and such. And I ordered a $50 set. The next thing I'm going to do is get these to a very, very similar length. I'm not going to count threads because these are aftermarket Moog pieces. I don't know if they have the exact same thread count, thread pitch, and all that, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get them super duper close as far as length goes. I've got the jam nut on here as well. Another thing to do is these are side specific, so you will want to make sure that you check your part numbers for left side and right side. Left is driver, right is passenger side. Alright, I matched up the length with the old one, and now I went ahead, unthreaded it, slipped this boot on. There's a groove right here. You can see where the broken boot is on the old one. There's a groove there that this new boot will sit in, and you'll put a zip tie around this. But now I'm going to tighten up my jam nut. I don't know why that's there. Tighten up this jam nut. I'm going to hold the shaft with one wrench and get this nice and super tight. The alignment shop will be probably making an adjustment here, but I want to get it as close as I can. I threaded the slotted washer onto the rack and just threaded this whole thing in. Now what I'm going to do is pull the boot back and put my 7/8 wrench on the shaft again of the rack here to hold it while I torque this thing down. The manual says 40 foot-pounds, so I don't have any way to measure that, so that should be good. I'm going to do it really tight. Okay, now I'm going to slide the boot back to its spot right there, and then I'll slide it over the rack back here, and then secure it with zip ties. And you'll want your grease Zerk fitting. You'll want to thread that in and make sure this is pumped full of grease. So I just put the lower control arms back in. The steering's already in, you saw. Go ahead and powder coated the calipers here with some Rust-Oleum paint. That's a joke. That's not powder coating. Here's the other side. Same thing. Everything is to the manufacturer torque specs. Always use chrome sockets with impacts. Remember this. Especially 16-point sockets. Arrgh, almost. Well, let's just keep pushing. Let's see what happens. Hey! See that? It's off. I'm still pushing though, and it's still going in. So, just gonna keep going. Yeah, perfect. Loosen that up a little bit. See that? It's not straight. Not straight at all. But, there we go. Now I'm going to have a quick look at my coilovers and make sure they're set at roughly the same ride height. So I'm using this digital caliper. So this one here needs to go down just a touch. So it actually looks like I'm about there. I'm going to move the lock ring, see how we measure. And it's going to do it for now. I'm going to tighten these down with the spanner wrench, and hopefully the height will be right around where I want it. Alright, so I was not able to use the skunk to ball joint on the China arms. This diameter here is slightly smaller on these. So I went ahead and put these at half mast, so I'll be just right in the middle, and then the alignment guy can take it from there. The hardware on these things is not good, so I'm not too excited about these. Like when you tighten them down, this lock washer is just going on all directions, and then it's crushing the regular washer that goes with it. See how it's bent? So I'm not super confident that these will hold their spot. I might need to go to the hardware store and get some different sort of washers. I'm not sure yet. The bolts that came with it are long enough, they're coming out a little bit, so I could probably put like a grade 8 washer of some sort in there and make these serve their purpose hopefully for a couple of years, so I don't have to mess with it for a while. Now we're going to assemble the rest of the front suspension. I've got my painted forks here, the clutch forks, and then I added the pivots here for these upper control arms. These upper control arms are like a 1/4 inch out of spec from stock, so I basically just put these in and tightened it down, and hopefully it works. Not too impressed with the China here, so I'm gonna get to going on this. I'm gonna put the coilover in place, hang it here, put the axle in, cool, beautiful. There we go. Now it'll fit. I'll just hook this upper end. There we go. There. Now finally you can take your steering, stick it together, and start torquing things down to torque specifications. Alright, this top ball joint. Alright, for the bottom ball joint. I'm going to tighten down the fork bolt here. I might have to loosen it later to adjust the coilover, but brake line to the knuckle here. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to look for an aftermarket bracket, because the coilovers don't have a bracket for this brake line back here. So I've seen a lot of people zip tie them here so they don't get in the way of the spindle or the axle, but you need to do something. I'm going to put it on the ground and see how it sits, and then I will probably zip tie that for now and then research or fabricate a bracket. Alright, that's one side down. I made sure to grease that Zerk fitting for the new tie rod end. So now I'm going to do the other side. I'll probably do that in fast motion because you don't need to see the same thing twice. Everybody clear? it looks like it sits just about right.
Okay, I'm ready to go on the first ride with it.
All right, let's see. We already have a guy that wants to go on his first ride. But let's look here.
Working quickly.
And over here.
I know.
Tape measure on this side is 23 1/8. This is 23 1/8 on the passenger side. On the driver's side, looking at 23 3/8. Pretty close. I'm going to torque down the lower stuff, torque down the lug nuts and the axle nuts, and then take it for a drive and see how my alignment is. And I'm going to stop the video there. That video concludes the front end rebuild of the Civic with poly bushings, coilovers, and finally the inner and outer tie rods. So I will do a video next that I've already filmed for the rear suspension rebuild where I do poly bushings and the coilovers in the rear of the car as well. And then I get the whole car aligned front and rear with those adjustable uppers. Hopefully you liked this video, hopefully it's helpful and showed you how this is done. Thanks for watching Riggs Garage.